You're with Karen on Accentuate the Positive, and I have a very fascinating man on the phone with me who is in Sydney next Saturday doing a conference all day if you're interested, and his name is Foster Gamble. Hi Foster, how are you?
Hi, Karen. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, it's great to have you on Accentuate the Positive Radio. Now, you've come down to Australia to talk about your movie Thrive. Tell us more about the movie Thrive.
Yes, I was the creator, host, and co-writer of the documentary Thrive, What on Earth Will It Take? Well, the movie is a 2-hour feature documentary that's dedicated to exploring what's in the way of our human thriving and what can we do about it. And so really the reason I've come down for this trip, it's the Thrive Solutions Summit 2012 Australian tour. And there's been such a strong response in Australia to our movie that we wanted to come down and visit with people. And so many people are waking up to what's really going on in the world and wanting to move on to solutions. And that's the whole reason why we made Thrive in the first place, was to help people in that transition from getting informed to taking action. So we're doing the Solution Summit tour of Melbourne today. Sydney will be there next Saturday at Leighton Hall at the University of New South Wales. And then we'll be on the Gold Coast on November 17th. So it's taken a long time to get to this point, and 8 years to make the film and the website. But here we are, and the film has come out worldwide. It's in 20 languages. It should be in 26 within a few weeks. And we've had such a strong response from Australia that I've come over to visit with people in 3 cities and really move on in the conversation from what's going on to the conversation about what we can do about it.
And what would people expect to see at the summit? What sort of things are you going to be discussing?
Well, there are going to be a number of really wonderful presenters. I'm going to be there and Kimberly, my wife, is going to be there on Skype, and then Jamie Janover and Nassim Haramein from the Resonance Project, and Adam Davis from Positive Path will be speaking, and he's the one who is producing this entire tour. He's really the young visionary that's making this happen. And then Alpha and Marina Orpin are going to be there talking about organic farm shares. And we're also going to be featuring local solutionaries. Each city that we're going to, we're going to be having people have a chance to get up and talk who are doing very creative solutions of their own. So that should be very exciting in each city. There will be people representing hemp and independent media and alternative currencies and alternative living spaces. Jonah Reynolds and his father Michael made a film about their Earth ships that will be premiering in Australia at these Solution Summit workshops. So it's going to be an exciting selection of people, but it's much more than a bunch of speeches. It's getting together with people who are interested in moving on to solutions, and then we will be offering our best tools for how to empower people to be more effective in their local communities, but also how to connect with other people worldwide to amplify the efforts that everybody's taking.
So if people are listening to this now, how would it benefit them to know about these things? Just say you're talking to us, we're in a fairly affluent city and people's lives are okay. So there's not a lot of need to sort of get up and do something. What will people take away from attending this summit?
Well, I think it's a wonderful question. I appreciate it because we really suggest that people start by looking inside and actually write down, if you haven't already, discover your own life purpose. And then select the sector that you're most interested in of human endeavor, whether it's environment or health or economics, arts, spirituality. What is the area that you're most interested in making better on the planet? And then also identify your preferred level of engagement. In other words, are you someone who wants to help meet people's immediate needs, or do you want to work on systemic change, whether it's the economic system or the media system or whatever? Or are you someone who's most interested in the consciousness shift? And I'll bet there are a lot of those listening to your program, because the consciousness shift is really at the root of the entire sort of cascade of actions, because if from your worldview comes your action, and from your actions come the systems that we're living within, and either those are meeting or not sufficiently meeting people's immediate needs. And then finally, I would say it will be inspiring for people to see what others are doing and to be able to connect and network with them. and also to explore in real depth the fundamental principles on which effective solution strategies are based, as opposed to old, worn out, and obviously ineffective political polarities, which is what people have been trying for a long time, and it's only gotten worse. So we're really looking at being clear on what's going on really in the world, and then basing solutions fundamentally on integrity and true freedom rather than false politics.
I have to say that I'm not very political at all. I don't know anything about politics. And I was watching your movie today, and it deals a lot with political corruption. There's a lot of conspiracy theory inside the movie, which is something that I don't personally buy into, because I truly believe, Foster, that whatever you push against pushes back just twice as hard. So I always feel like a solution to anything is not to resist it, but to buy into possibility instead of pushing against what is. What is causing us to want something different, and then to focus on what that is that we want instead of pushing against what we don't want. That's my personal philosophy. Is that something that you condone?
Well, I admire the sort of benevolent approach that you're taking. And I felt that way for a long time too, but I am a lifelong martial artist. I trained and taught the nonviolent martial art of Aikido for 15 years. Yeah. And it really helped me to find an alternative to either ignoring problems or violence or going up against them. Because in Aikido, what you do is you recognize the reality of your situation. That's really the primary imperative of protecting yourself and your loved ones. And then you blend with it and lead it where you want it to go, rather than ignore it and have it hit you in the head. And that's the situation that I've discovered that we're in globally. There's a small cadre of particularly elite central bankers across the world who are truly raping and pillaging this planet and destroying billions of lives in the planet, in the process. So I have spent decades trying to find out who they are, how they're doing it, what their agenda is, and how to nonviolently obsolete them and actually empower the freedom and prosperity and security of every single person on the planet.
I know there's a line in the movie that says there are countless success stories going on all over the world that the mainstream media doesn't report. So that's something that really spoke to me, because I know that media likes to beat the drum of what's going wrong with the world, especially the news. It pumps out every half an hour all the atrocities that are going on in the world, and yet there are so many incredible things that are going right in the world. Can you talk about some of those success stories that you've encountered?
Sure, that's my favorite thing to talk about. And as my wife Kimberly and I have traveled around to over 25 cities now with Thrive, we've just been so heartened to see that everywhere we go, they're just packed houses of people who either already understand what's going on, and finally they have a confirmation and they can hand the movie Thrive to their friends and no longer be thought crazy. But or other people who haven't known what's going on, but all of a sudden they're hearing a story which ties the pieces together in a much more coherent and not confusing fashion than what the corporate media does. So we're finding that people are really going to alternative currencies. They're going back to organic polyculture farming. They're starting local economies that are actually based on honest and free exchange. There are people who are cleaning up their environments. There are people who are inventing alternative energy devices. I've had the privilege of being able to visit numerous labs where these devices have been perfected. And unfortunately, in that area, as in medical devices and even organic farming, the efforts of people who are really looking to create a thriving world are being suppressed by those who both want to hold on to the profits that they have from more destructive, less healthy technologies and processes, but also who are interested in and committed to controlling other people's lives. So what people will get in the Solution Summit is a whole systems approach that we've used very successfully where I live, in taking on some really important problems and solving them in a very rapid manner by having people self-identify, the lawyers and the doctors and the financial people and the spiritual people and the artists and so forth. When they self-identify but link together to work on specific problems. Here's an example. In Northern California, we were being sprayed from the sky every night with unknown toxins and people were starting to get sick, and animals were dying and so forth, and they still wouldn't even tell us what they were spraying. This was supposed to solve a problem with a tiny little moth that was going to devastate the agriculture, but actually wasn't going to be doing any damage at all. So we organized using this sector model and ended up stopping a $1 billion program directly from George Bush Jr. that was going to spray toxins on 11 million people in Northern California for 9 months out of the year for up to 10 years. And when we realized what was going on, my wife and I headed up the Follow the Money Committee, and we found out that this money was earmarked from him, came through Homeland Security and so forth, and the lawyers filed a lawsuit, and the scientists found out what the truth was behind this so-called pest, and it wasn't actually a pest at all. And the media people put together a media campaign, and the arts people provided their flyers and so forth. And the long and short of it is we stopped this program in 6 months with about $30,000. And that's how effective it is. When people get organized, they're even more powerful than organized money.
Look, it's fascinating stuff, Foster, absolutely fascinating, and the movie is very intriguing. How can people watch your movie? I know that you offer it online for free.
Yes, people can go to thrivemovement.com, and you can see it there for free. And then stay around and look through the website. It was 3.5 years building this website, and it's got all the information you could want to explore any of these topics in more detail. And then if you get motivated to take action, it's got all the tools and technology for you to find like-minded people in your area or anywhere else in the world. Particularly go to our Solutions Hub, where over the last 2.5 months, over 400 groups from around the world have signed up to link together and then share best practices and class action lawsuits and petitions and artwork and so forth, so that we can really create a globalized, decentralized movement to restore a thriving world. Just add that in addition to seeing the movie, which I strongly encourage you to do, any of you in Sydney or Gold Coast who can be available on these next 2 weekends. Next weekend is Sydney and the following weekend is Gold Coast. It's a full-day event from 9 to 7. It's $45, very inexpensive for what you'll be getting. And you will come out of that day, turned on, empowered, connected with other people who are getting informed and taking action. So I'd really love to meet you if you're interested in coming.
Yeah, it sounds like a fascinating day, absolutely fascinating day. Thank you so much for talking with us on Accentuate the Positive Radio.
Yeah, I've just forgot to mention that I recommend that you go to, do a search for Solutions Summit 2012, and you'll see all the information on ticketing and scheduling and all of that. So thank you, Karen. I appreciate you helping us get the word out.
Thanks again, Foster.